Well, I am Juan Pablo's wife and Luna's mother. I prepared a little presentation for you, and I want to share my screen. So let me know if you are able to see it. Okay? Are you able to see the screen? Is it okay? So this little presentation, it's about this new project that we are trying to include with Juan Pablo. So let me start by presenting myself. A little bit about me. My name is Ana Isabel. I'm from Guatemala. I became a science teacher a long time ago. I actually studied biology in university, and then when I finished my schooling, I got the opportunity to become a teacher, a biology teacher, not in the Waldorf world, but in regular schooling. And 8 years ago, I heard about this movement, Waldorf schools, and I joined one Waldorf school and I began my training. I finished my training last year. It's a training that the school where I work organized, and teachers from the Waldorf world came to Guatemala, and that's how I got through along like 6-7 years after I got my certificate last year. And I also enjoy very much cooking. I took some courses in cooking, especially in baking, and I have my certificate in baking, especially bread. So that's a little bit about me. And just to let you know, all of the pictures that you're going to see in the presentation are things that I have actually cooked or baked myself. So that's a little bit about me. Please, if you have any questions, or you can interrupt me and ask me the questions. Okay, so why should any kid or teen take a cooking class? First of all, because I think it's very fun. Cooking is fun. It allows you to do a little bit about experimentation. And that's why, because of my science background, I really enjoy cooking. You get to do experiments in your own kitchen and learn about chemistry and biology just by doing things on your kitchen. So it's fun. Then you learn a lot of practical skills that help you in your daily life. For example, following a recipe, a step-by-step recipe allows your brain to organize stuff and be able to start with something and then to start a process and finish the process and see how things change through that process. It also allows you to organize the materials or the ingredients that you're going to be working without actually thinking or feeling that you are doing homework or schoolwork. It also allows you to manage your time. Being on the kitchen allows you to manage time because you cannot spend the whole day cooking. If you want to prepare a meal, if you want to prepare dinner, if you want to make sure that lunch is ready at time, you have to manage time. So those are some practical skills that as we go through the course, you're going to be learning and following. Now, no, this is not an academic course or a class. It's not math, it's not science, but it has a lot of math and it does have a lot of science. So math, because you follow proportions, ratios, measurements. Sometimes a recipe might be in a unit that you do not know or you're not familiar. For example, here in Guatemala, we follow a lot in volume. We follow liters and milliliters. But if I search for a recipe that it's not from Guatemala, I might find that it's cups. So I have to do a little bit of math. So academics. Also a lot of chemistry. When we work with fire, when we work with the stove, we are changing the matter that we're working. Maybe it's living matter that we're going to get to eat, like vegetables and fruit, but it's changing. So we learn how things change, what putting something in the fridge makes the food look like, and then putting it on the stove, how the matter changes. So those are some academic skills that you learn as a student when you're learning to cook. Maybe it's not like you're learning how to do conversions in a math class, but you're learning it in a very practical way. Another thing that I really like is that you learn life skills. Food allows you to learn things about life. It allows you to prepare a meal for somebody else, to share a meal with somebody else. It allows you also, when you are able to go to the supermarket and buy the ingredients that you need for a recipe. It allows you to know how much food do you need to buy. If a whole chicken is going to be enough, do you need to buy more? Do you need to buy less? It helps you make a list, a shopping list. It helps you decide how much time you're going to spend in the kitchen. And finally, it gives you a lot of emotional skills. Food, for me, it's a love language. You get to prepare something and share that with somebody else that you love, and it's a way in which you can share your love and express their love without saying a lot of words. So if you put a lot of love into preparing a meal, that's a way in which you can improve your emotional skills, especially when you are a teen. It's hard. I have a lot of experience working with teens, and it's very hard in that age to express gratitude or to express love or affection to your parents. And I think in cooking a meal, it's a good way of doing that without actually using your words if you're struggling to find your words to share your love for other people. And it's also very something very cultural. We have our own ingredients in different countries. We prepare different foods, so it's also a very cultural experience. Then I want to briefly talk about the two courses that we're going to have. First of all, we have Global Flavors, that is for middle school, and this is a journey. In each week, we're going to try to prepare a traditional food for a different country. And so that is going to help us learn a little bit about the country, the ingredients, the local ingredients from that country, and also different cooking techniques. And we'll maybe get to learn a little bit about the background of that food. And then we have, for high school students, we have independent cooking, which I really like. It took me a lot of time for me to learn how to cook because I was I didn't like cooking. I thought it was boring and I like something that I had to do. But after I finished university, I was tired of eating bad food and I wanted to get a good meal. So that's how I learned to cook. I thought if I can follow the steps in a science lab, I think I can follow the steps of a recipe and learn how to cook. How hard can it be? So actually, because of that background, that's how I started cooking. I just found a cooking book in my house and I went through it. I chose a couple of recipes, I bought the materials and I started cooking and it went pretty well. And I think I have improved with time. I keep on failing sometimes, but I wanted to show you a couple of weeks ago, Juan Paulo wanted a gluten-free pizza. So I tried a gluten-free pizza and it went pretty well. And I think this is a recipe I did during the pandemic because I had a lot of time for cooking and I thought it like a whole chicken that I prepared a meal and I put some potatoes in it. I didn't follow any recipes. Now I don't follow recipes. I just go and I cook what I want, but I think it's something that you learn to do as you get comfortable in the kitchen. And that's what I want the students to feel comfortable in the kitchen, like a space where they want to experiment after cooking class. And so that is like the two things that are the two courses that we're going to have. Then I know there are going to be a lot of questions because you need to actually cook in this class. So I made a list of things that I think most of us have in our kitchen. If you don't have something, I don't think it's necessary for you to go and buy something. You can improvise and work with whatever you have at home. But I think it gives us a sense of security if you see a list and you know some of the things which are very basic things that we might need, like knives. There's no specific knives. Whatever knives you have at home are going to work. A cutting board. I know a lot of you might have like a vegetable cutting board and a meat cutting board or your own techniques of how you use them, but we need that. Measuring cups and spoons. Again, if you have them, great. If not, we can improvise. mixing bowls like a wooden spoon, a whisk, a spatula, tongs, vegetable peeler, saucepan, pot, frying pan like a skillet, a baking sheet, a rolling pin, a blender, if you don't have a blender, a food processor, oven mitts, because it's best if we handle hot things with ovens, with mitts, an apron, and a kitchen scale, which might be nice, a stove, and an oven. Things that I think that most of us have in our kitchen. Again, if you don't have a specific tool, you can improvise and let me know before the class. I don't have this tool. Can I use this? And I'll like guide you through it. Then I know a huge part of it would be, how do I manage materials? How do I get the ingredients for the recipe I have to cook this week? So I think that a pretty good way of doing it is dividing into two lists. And the first list for the ones that are going to enroll right now is going to be sent away. And sorry, this is August 26th. I made a mistake there. But it's before class starts, and I'm going to give the list of the first 8 weeks of the class, the first 8 classes. So you can decide whether you buy it week by week, or if you do your groceries like every month, or if you do it every 15 days, whatever works for you. But I'm going to do that. It's going to be on Monday 26th. And then the second list is going to come Monday, October 21st for what is left of the classes. Again, you can organize yourselves and decide what works with you with groceries. And also I'll try to put the amount for the recipe that we are doing. And what happens if you want to continue your cooking classes after this semester is done, after this 16 weeks? Well, I was thinking of doing, as a Waldorf teacher, I have the opportunity of working in the orchard as the orchard teacher. And I think one of the most wonderful things about Waldorf education is learning the process that goes from farm or from the soil to the table. So a class that is designed to go through different, like, for example, corn. How is corn, how do you farm corn, and what do you get out of it? How can you process that? What types of food can you make? So going from the farm to the table, and that would be for both middle school and high school students. Again, if a middle school student wants to take the next year the independent cooking class, you're welcome as well. And then I had made a list of some questions that I think that you might have. And at the end, you can ask more questions if you have different questions. If you have any scheduling problems. So each course has 2 classes during the week. One is not a practical class, it's like a discussion class where we're going to be discussing what we are going to be cooking, a little bit about background information. For example, if it's the cultural food, where does it come from, the history about the food. If it's independent cooking, for example, a little bit about how to make a shopping list, how to budget. And that class is going to be recorded. So if you cannot make it to that class, you can go on Google Classroom and watch the video independently by yourself at whatever time works for you. And then we have the cooking class, where you have to have all of your materials ready, and we are going to try to cook as the class goes by. So that is like the rhythm. So if you cannot make it to the theory class or the not practical class, you can see the class later. And if there's a special event during a week that you cannot make it, the practical class, it's also going to be recorded, and you can try to do the cooking by yourself and ask me questions, and I'll try to respond as soon as possible, so you do not lose the experience of cooking. What happens if my kid or in my family, we have certain allergies? For example, you are not tolerant to lactose, and we're going to be using milk. You let me know before before I share the list when you enroll, if you have any specific allergies or restrictions, and I'll give alternatives that you can use instead of that, okay? Which I think is not going to be a huge problem unless we go into the baking part. baking might be a little bit more complex when it comes to finding things that we can like substitute. What happens if I don't find an ingredient? For example, if I ask for a specific ingredient that you might not find in your local supermarket, I'll also try, you let me know, you tell me beforehand, and I'll try to give you some suggestions of things that you can substitute. So this is like, again, a very short in a brief of the course. I don't know if you have any questions about it. No?
Well, any questions that you have that might have, that might come up, you can always send us an email. I sent you an email, and Ana Isabel was copied over there, so you'll also have her email. And I'm going to share with you in the chat the link again for you to, if you want to enroll, or if you want to, find more information about the class. That's the website that you can check. And I hope that all of you have had a really great summer. I'm excited to see all of you again, actually. So if there are no more questions, well, you have all the information there. And again, if some questions come up later, you can always email us.
Nice to meet you all.